We recently talked about the fact that Marvel Studios' own director of WandaVision confirmed that there were originally intended to be more episodes as part of the series, but that all had to be scaled back and changed. Some small changes, some rather big ones. Now we got more details on how these changes came to be due to everything that was happening. I think it's safe to say that everywhere you look, anything that was trying to finish production and did get to finish it during the pandemic changed quite substantially by the time we get to the end product. We don't just see this in WandaVision, we also see this in the likes of Superman and Lois over on the CW, a series I absolutely love, but there's definitely some cutbacks that had to be made and they're very apparent when you watch the episode, and that's not the fault of the people doing it, that's really just sort of what happened with multiple shutdowns, having to work with smaller crews. This means that you can't go as big or as explosive as you want, and I definitely see that this was something that affected WandaVision. So recently, Matt Shankman, the director, also talked a little bit about some of the changes, and here's what he said, and I quote, "But yeah, they constantly changed. And then, of course, once we wrapped in Atlanta, the pandemic hit, and we ended up having months off. So then, further changes during that. We were doing post-production, and then the idea would come up, a little change here, a big change there. And those happen as a result." End quote. So you definitely see this throughout the series, right? I mean, they intended to have another 40 to 50 minutes that we know for a fact that was going to be a 10th episode that they were still shooting in the fall. But once they locked in what they had, they went to the editing bay and had to cut out an episode. And this is before they went on a 4 to 5 month shutdown, originally from spring going into the fall, which means they had less post-production time to do everything they wanted as well. Which again does make sense, and now this sort of makes sense when you look back at what they were saying about the last 3 episodes being big and the last 2 being more of a giant Marvel spectacle. You can sort of understand that maybe some of these major and minor changes that they're talking about were some of those things we heard previously that would have explained or set up more things like the multiverse. You see that they probably had to cut out many of these elements just because of restrictions. Doctor Strange can't show up because of 14-day quarantines each way, and they're also shooting their own film. Then there was a shutdown. So you start to see how one thing affected another and how they had to scale things back and change, and ultimately, yeah, it ended up affecting it. I still think the journey was great, but there's definitely a feel of rush and change things along the way, and WandaVision, I think, suffered from that in a pretty big way because more time would have meant more explanations and things we expected.